Did you know that some choices you're making right now are decreasing your home's value? Well, today we're going to share with you the 6 ways that you're decreasing your home's value. And if you stay with us all the way till the end, we're going to give you 2 bonus tips to make sure you maximize your value of your home. We're thrilled to be with you today and sharing some great tips and strategies.
So let's get into it.
Well, as we start things on this channel, hello friends. Welcome back for another video here on our channel. My name is Alex and I'm your friend in real estate in Nashville. And I love creating great content like this, helping homeowners in and around real estate, maximizing their best opportunities, enjoying their houses as much as they possibly can. And when it comes time to sell or buy that next property, we're here to help along with those guidance on how to get prepared and how to make sure you make the best choices you possibly can in the market that you're in and the market of the moment, right? So I've been a real estate professional in Nashville for over 23 years, over 1,100 families served, and over $500 million in volume. So if you're finding good things on our channel here, please subscribe, stay in touch, drop us a comment as you go through if you find something particularly valuable, and also help us grow the channel. Please share this with at least 2 people that you know that are thinking about moving to Middle Tennessee in the year ahead. That will help us because that's how we provide and ultimately fund this channel, is by helping your friends that you know that are moving here to Middle Tennessee. But let's get into this week's video. Ready? Let's go. So number 1, the thing that we see most commonly that's keeping the value down on properties is that the homes are way too personalized. Now, personalized can come up in a couple different ways. It could be a huge gallery wall of your family and of your events and the life that has happened over the past years or even decades in this home, but that doesn't allow room for this house to be someone else's house. Occasionally we'll see heavily themed rooms. Of course, we're in Tennessee and you all know that I went to the University of Tennessee and I'm a huge Tennessee Vols fan, and so occasionally you'll see those Tennessee themed rooms that have smoke and lights and cannons and sparklers that go off in those man caves around, and those times sometimes can be way too personalized. People are like, well, that's great, but that's what that room is, so I'm not going to consider this one. So one of the things you can do is make those rooms a little bit more approachable. There's a lot of different choices. Really trendy in the past few years is having an accent wall. Now, you could do accent walls a lot of different ways with wallpaper. You can do it with color. You can do it with texture. But there's a lot of ways that you can really depersonalize, but ultimately bring the house forward and appeal to the biggest market and the biggest number of people when your house is on the market. Next, one of our favorite tips to share with people is leave no doubt. And what that means is we want to make sure when we're living in our houses, occasionally we'll choose not to do some of the maintenance that needs to be done. We'll wait on that for a year. We'll put that off. Well, that year turns into 3. And then when you go to see and recognize your home's value, well, it's been a long time. And it's a whole lot more expensive for a problem to come up in the process or when you're in a real estate transaction. So one of our favorite tips when we're guiding sellers that are coming to market or preparing to come to market in the year ahead, we actually advise them, hey, let's go ahead and make sure we have the house checked out. Let's make sure any mechanicals that are out there, we need to go ahead and make sure we're ready. Let's go ahead and check out the central heat and air, the hot water system. Maybe you need to flush the hot water system. Maybe there is a little repair where a limb fell and hit a gutter and it's a little mashed in. You know, those type things are an absolute thing you want to focus on, making sure your mechanicals are up to date. Now, that doesn't mean if you have a 9-year-old central heat and air system that's in working order, it doesn't mean you need to go back through and completely replace that and spend that money. That may not be the case, but we do want to be able to prove that you've had it serviced recently and it's in good working order for what it is. Then that eliminates doubt, because actually having it serviced overcomes some of the people that come into it, the advisory committee for the buyer and all of their opinions, and then their home inspector, when you can provide, hey, look, I just had it serviced last month and it's in good shape. That's kind of the end of that conversation. So let's make sure that everything is in tip-top order, because it's a whole lot easier and saves so much more money in the process to go ahead and do it before we go to the market. Next, that's most commonly overlooked is actually the curb appeal. And one of the things people don't realize, and we talk about often, is that, hey, your showing starts as soon as they turn on the street. They start looking for the number, they're looking for the mailbox, they're looking for the approach. And one of the things most commonly overlooked is the curb appeal and the approach to the house. So you've heard that language on the channel here, the approach. What's it look like when they see the sign in the yard, they see the number, there it is, and they either go, oh, wow,
even more beautiful in person.
Or they go, oh, they had a really good photographer. And you want to be the first one of those. You want to have that first impression. You never get a second chance at a first impression, right? And so you want to have that first impression like, wow, this is even better than I expected. And so going ahead and doing a little refresh, it doesn't mean you have to go through and spend tens of thousands of dollars redoing everything. But, when you're living in houses and enjoying them, you often can overlook keeping those things up and really, really polished. So this is a real bang for the buck spend of going ahead, spending that time, making sure you're refreshing things and making sure that it looks really well kept and is in good order. So trimming things, making sure it's in good order. And these things change across the country. Here in Middle Tennessee, we have a lot of grass and a lot of different environments and a lot of different plant materials that you can have here. You just want to make sure that those are in good order, right? You want to make sure that it's clean and that the mulch has been redone and then the beds have been weeded. You don't want it to look like a problem that this new buyer is about to inherit or a cost that they're about to inherit. So something to think about. Make sure your house really, your curb appeal, your mailbox, your driveway, your approach, your landscaping really looks good from the start. Even one of my favorite ones, this is an early bonus one to remember, is even how the key goes into the lock. Making sure that the thing goes voop, voop, and it goes right in and pops. That is super, super powerful to make sure that that has that proper impression that you're thinking about and that you're really, really wanting, that the key goes in, it locks, and it comes out just right. You want that. So make sure that you have that. Next, putting off some of your energy updates. Now, it's 2024 now. We have a lot of energy updates you can do. And one of the ways that people don't maximize their value of their home is changing out the light bulbs. And there are so many good, energy efficient, high quality, good light bulbs. I can't tell you, once a week, I go into houses that have these regular old light bulbs that are super browned out and have this gold look across things. And it just really makes the whole house feel dark and dingy and unupdated when you can just simply, maybe you have to change a few light fixtures out, but that's fairly inexpensive to really bring the house and the room forward. But you can definitely do the light bulbs, right? You can easily order a bunch of them in bulk and make sure you have really, really good light, natural light, and then also having really good light bulbs in there can make a big difference in the house. Also, you want to do this before you're considering going to market so you can show your energy bills. A lot of buyers today are going through and are looking at energy bills and they want to see if they're coming from a different market. They don't know. And so they'll look for the past 6 months. So this is something you want to do where you could be holding yourself back on unlocking some of the value by going ahead and changing some of those out. A tankless water heater, so there's some people that really like those, there's some people that really don't. And yet they only work and only run when they're being called on. They're not pulling on any energy. So that helps with some energy efficiencies. Again, we don't want to over improve the house before going to market or anything like that, but you want to continue to do good, proactive energy things to help your house be as energy efficient as possible. Okay, next is if you have some unpermitted or improvements that you pulled without getting the right city permit. That can be a problem. So a couple years ago, I had a client that had a really nice house, had a 2-story addition off the back of it. And when we came to the inspection, the buyer's agents called the codes department and discovered that they'd done that addition with a friend who had built houses all over the country and had done it for them very, very affordably and as a friend deal. However, they didn't pull the permits. And so that caused a huge problem in the transaction that when we were in the transaction, we had to go back and forth and figure out how to get it inspected when the walls were up and the framing was up and the roofing was in and the insulation was in. We had to go through that, and it really took a lot of creative problem solving how to solve that problem because it was 15 years old. We actually did have to go through and pull a permit, and we actually did go through some inspections, but ultimately it's something that you can solve and you can unlock. If you did have it, you could deal with that. Or if you're planning on one of those additions or improvements, just go ahead and pull the permits. Yes, it can create more eyes on the project and slow down the process, and yet it definitely is going to add more value to your home in the long run. Next, our personal improvements that we've done. And sometimes our skills are just a little bit beyond what we really need to be doing for the open and public market. So there's been a time in recent years where we went through the market and it was like, hey, don't worry about that through the pandemic. If you remember, or we're doing the next move in that time, people were accepting some lesser craftsmanship quality. But really, when you're in the market and when you're looking and measuring the market to get your most potential out of the market, you really want to do things in workman and craftsman-like manner. And those are terms that you'll see pretty commonly in contracts, but you want to be workman and craftsman-like more than just the DIY. So you can see, and we're starting to see it now, where you'll go into a bathroom or a backsplash and someone's clearly done the backsplash from their own, but one corner corner sticks out and then the other corner sticks out. And it's not the tiles, like it's actually poor craftsmanship. It's not a design. And some people are trying to get away with that and be like, no, it's part of the design that it, not smooth, when in reality, it's poor craftsmanship. So you want to make sure that if you've done some of those things, you want to make sure you get them updated, or you want to go ahead and have them, appropriately repaired and fixed. Now, again, we're not saying you have to totally overhaul a kitchen that's maybe 10 years old, but we are saying if you did the backsplash and that didn't fit just right and there's parts that are peeling off and that are really not in best shape, it's almost always the best plan to go ahead and undo those, have a professional do it, and then go through and present the house in a final finished product way. So if it's your first time joining us here on the channel, thank you for being here. We love bringing great content like this to the channel. My name is Alex, and I'm your friend in real estate in Nashville. We make our living full-time listing and selling houses with people here in Middle Tennessee and making introductions to people just like us across the country. So if you found any value in what we're doing here today, help us in two ways. One, you can help us by subscribing, but also if you're going to help us meet someone that that's going to move here to Middle Tennessee in the next 24 months. That would be a person we want to build a relationship with and help them with their next house purchase. And then if they're going somewhere else, we can actually help introduce them to where they're going, and that helps supports our channel. Thank you for being here. We'd love to hear what you're seeing and enjoying here in the comments. Let us know here, but also subscribe, and thanks for being here. We love really doing this and sharing with you. Let's get back to those last two bonus things. Okay, you've made it this far. We've got those bonus. Here, you're going to level up right here with two more things that people are really doing, and this is getting a little bit into the actual part and process of going to market. And one of the first things that we find people do is they want to go through and list their house, and they want to overprice it. Now, they're unrealistic in their pricing. They push the price. They're like, let's just see. And that's a pretty common thing. However, what we actually see, and we'll talk to people about, what's your timeline? Price is only one of the key values and metrics that are out there. If you're okay with that, what if you want the most important price and time doesn't matter at all? Fine. I've told people all the time, we can get you $2 million for your house. We just need an 18-year listing agreement, because we need 18 years to get that run up to get there, because time's not important. And I do that to be funny, but also to give people a reality that, hey, your time on market matters as well. And so be mindful of pricing your house on the market and being realistic about it. We just had a client this month go to market, saw a house reduce their price because it was overpriced. We stepped up and were willing to buy it, and we're pretty close to their new list price. But the seller actually wanted it to run up. He wanted to lower it in order to run back up past his original list price. And that was just a mistake. That's just not how it works. The house has been on the market for a while, and it got the buyer. What he did had actually caused the right buyer to pop up and raise their hand and go, hey, I'm in. But they just were using a different tactic that wasn't successful. So be mindful when you're pricing your house about where you price it. And I'll tell you, one of my other favorite things to talk about is, we'll get into this, and there's other professionals. So here's the second one. You'll run into professionals in the market that'll just say yes to whatever your price is. And they'll go, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think it should list for? And they'll go, that sounds good to me. And they just don't want the conflict, and they don't want to let you down. So they just say yes, knowing that ultimately either the market will go down and you'll fold, or they'll ultimately over time just get there. And I had this happen not too long ago, that a client actually, and I told them this, I told them what the price was on their house. I said, hey, this house is worth about $1.5 million, and it's going to close in about 3 months. That's the market velocity. And I showed them all the statistics, and they're like, well, I think it's worth more. And I was like, it can be, but it's going to take longer into the market. Well, we don't have time. We really need it to sell in 3 months. Well, the next person they interviewed heard that and said, yep, we'll give you the money. How about $1.7 million? And yeah, it'll sell in 3 months. And they just really, I don't know that they were actually intending to be dishonest, but they just knew that ultimately they needed to sell. If they said yes, they'd get the deal and they get paid. And ultimately they did. So your second bonus question here is, when you're going through and looking to maximize your value, be mindful of who you're hiring and who's going to go through and not just tell you what you want to hear, but tell you the truth and back it up with some statistics. That's a key thing. Often in residential real estate, it's very, very emotional. It's your personal home, it's your family, and all those things. And you really want to get into a little bit more detail and a little bit more strategy, because you can actually see it. There are actual statistics that we can actually predict pretty accurately how quickly it's going to sell and when a buyer is going to show up and what the value is. So you can manage those things, the price, the terms, the time, the value. That's what we end up talking about all the time. So there are your two bonus items about how to unlock some of those things that you're doing to keep your house from being its absolute absolute best and highest values. Tell us what you liked. Which one was your favorite here in the comments below. We love bringing great content like this to you, and we'd love to connect with you. If you want to schedule an individual personal appointment, you can follow the links right here, and we can connect with you. And if you need an introduction to a lender or a home inspector or another real estate professional in our network across the country that can help you with your next move, also follow the links. We can get you connected that way, and that's one of the ways we'll stay in touch. But until we connect again, my name is Alex, and I'm your friend in real estate in Nashville. Thank you for being here. We can't wait to connect with you again soon, and we'll catch you on the next video. See you soon.